Okay, stand by.
Just about 4:45, and take a look at this viral video from La Junta in southeastern Colorado. All right,
They want to be politically smart, but.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for stopping by. Today we got Steezo for Life, King Chris here, two good friends of the channel, and myself. So we've got an interesting one tonight. The James Webb Telescope, if you're not familiar, is the most advanced telescope we have currently right now. It has apparently picked up maybe potential alleged scenarios of another life form out there. So let me pull this up real quick. We've got this article coming from Above the Norm News. I will link it below, like normal. Has the James Webb Telescope discovered a universe-altering secret? Kind of an out there title, but I'm going to skip through the fluff of the first couple paragraphs. This one's pretty good, though. The JWST, which is James Webb Space Telescope, known for its unparalleled ability to peer deeper into space than any other telescope before, has already produced a ground-breaking discovery. However, the most recent rumors suggest that the telescope may have detected something entirely unexpected, a large object approximately 10 light years away from Earth, behaving in ways that defy current scientific understanding. Reports hint that the object has been moving in such a way that suggests it is not simply a natural celestial body like an asteroid, but something else, perhaps an artificial structure or a UFO. And I don't really like them using the word UFO in that sense because we really don't understand what it is. The speculation doesn't end there. According to sources, the object has been observed making deliberate changes in its trajectory. And that's something that I want to kind of point out before we move on. They've been tracking this thing, and we'll get here, in a few paragraphs. We'll get there, but they've been tracking this thing for months. Typically, like an asteroid or whatnot, is something that's stuck in a gravitational pull is going to stay on the same path, right? And it's going to keep moving. I'm not a scientist, but you don't have to be to understand that, right? Like you get stuck into the traction of a gravitational pull, you're stuck there, and mathematically, at least our understanding goes that you can then verify the point that it's going to land at least, so really the big thing here is that this object that they've seen out, what was the actual stat? It was 10 light years away.
Yeah, 10 light years
10 light years away, right?
Yep.
So this thing is now moving course. It's changing course. So that's really, I think, what the big thing to take away from in that sense for this. You guys, before I move on, you guys want to kind of chime in on this at all?
I just think it's kind of wild how it's obviously gives us signs that it's under some kind of intelligent control, maybe if it's plotting some kind of course or changing its trajectory. So that's definitely one of the most important things about it.
Sure. Steve, are you, or should we keep moving?
Yeah, the only thing I could think of, like he said, the fact that it's not in a stable trajectory, is that, and I think what they're trying to do is figure out what's causing it to change its trajectory. I don't know. I don't think it mentions in this article. Usually that would be some other force of gravity to make it change direction if it was happening naturally and not like.
That's a good point, actually.
So like there's stuff that you can't pick up. So I was thinking, is it possibly getting moved by black holes?
Well, and that actually is a good point that I didn't put into consideration prior to this video, is that for all we know, there's a planet or a large mass out there close by that we just haven't recognized or picked up in that telescope, and it's just getting sucked into another gravitational pull, which is very possible.
Something stronger, right? And that would be like a black hole or something like that could be possibly help moving it if it's
Yeah,
done
yeah,
being that
yeah,
natural,
yeah.
but it's definitely interesting as far as speculation. If it is artificially changing direction, that's huge.
Yeah.
No, it is, and I think that's and what we're about to talk about here in the next paragraph. I think we'll kind of explain that a little bit. So, adding fuel to the fire, reports suggest the U.S. Department of Defense (DoD) and other international agencies are also closely monitoring the object. Uh, Breakthrough Listen, an initiative focused on the research for extraterrestrial life, is reportedly using its resources to gather more data on the mysterious object. And I think that might be very well one of the key points that they're trying to look into. Is it another natural gravitational pull, or is it legitimately moving on an unnatural uh, way that we just don't understand? So this raises the question why the involvement of organizations typically concerned with national security and extraterrestrial direction. What has the James Webb Space Telescope discovered that warrants such attention from both scientific and defense communities? And that's something that kind of pulls me towards the side of it's not natural,
Yeah.
because even though we don't know everything, I would say that we know a fair amount about how things operate with what we've
Yeah.
with the scale of what we've learned to understand.
Yeah.
From my understanding, we spend a lot of time, NASA, every country spends a lot of time looking into the sky, how things operate, and that's kind of the extent that we can do as a civilization right now, is
Yep.
observe and base things off of that, right? Like we don't have anything we don't have the technology yet to go multiple light years away, even 1 light year away. So right
Yeah.
now, all we're doing is observing. And I think the important part to take away from so far this article is that we've got the DoD
Yeah. That's what I was
looking
gonna say.
into it, and Congress, getting debriefed on this and for months, and it begs the question for me at least, why? Like if we observe this stuff, there must be a reason why they're actually paying the time of day to do that. Correct?
Right. With the DoD involved and other major organizations, it makes you wonder, like, how much do they know? Are we getting the full story here? Obviously, not getting the full story here, but I I I, I would like to think they probably know a little bit more, and they're a little more concerned than what they're putting on.
Yeah. Stezo, anything to add to that before we move on?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to say too is that you said the object is, if it's 10 uh, light years away, that would mean that basically, and according to this is just by the way my understanding how it works is when we look at the stars or we look at how far something's away as far as light years, you're looking at history. So like it takes light that long to
Yeah.
reach our point of view. So if it's 10 light years away, at the speed of light, how long would it take for what we're seeing to actually reach us? How long ago did that actually happen? You know what I
Which,
mean?
which would make sense for something like an asteroid, like you're looking at the past, like an asteroid in the past moving. But if you are at the point as a civilization to manipulate time, space, and
Right.
in between,
Mhm.
then that doesn't really. And personally, I don't think that from a layman's standpoint, I don't think that justifies it, right? Because if you can
Sure.
manipulate all that, you could be seeing it in real time,
Mhm.
and you're just seeing a course correction
Correct.
from someone
Yeah.
else. And again, that is kind of tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
But I do hear what you're saying. So this next paragraph is kind of the meat of what I wanted to get into. One of the most puzzling aspects of this story is the timeline. If reports are to be believed, the object was first detected at least several months ago, and Congress has been receiving briefings on the situation ever since. Yet, despite the apparent urgency of these briefings, there have been no official public discourse. This begs the question: why are we being kept in the dark? And I want to
Exactly.
bring up, I actually looked. I looked on the NASA website and the official James Webb Telescope website to see if they've been talking about this, and they have not. So they've known about this thing for months at a time. They haven't made any public briefing, to us about it, and that's really why I kind of wanted to talk about this tonight with you guys, is because I think this is I think this is kind of big. This is the meat of it, right? Like, so that we've already had briefings on UFOs here on Earth, right, or surrounding Earth, with Congress, and whether or not you believe in them or not, government's taking the time of day to actually look into this stuff. Then on top of that, we've got stuff that they're not even telling us about, which is actually more in line with government when there's something serious at play.
Right.
National security.
What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, as long as there's no official statement from them, they don't have to confirm anything. You know what I mean? They can just play coy.
Yeah, not confirming or denying kind of
Yeah.
situation, right?
Yeah.
So some have speculated the object's behavior, its course corrections, and changes trajectory could suggest that it's approaching Earth. However, without more information, it's impossible to say. It's kind of a nothing burger, in my opinion. It's really difficult to speculate on that sense. As the mystery deepens, all eyes are turning toward the upcoming UAP hearing scheduled for November 2024. I actually didn't know there was another hearing.
I knew about it. I didn't know it kept getting pushed
Huh.
back, but I thought it was supposed to already happen. I think over the summer, but it kept getting pushed back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's super interesting. I think I'm gonna leave the article there. Again, I'll put it in the description below. I think this is I think this is really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we live in a great time to, I'm much younger than you guys, but even still I deal with the kind of attitude that if you believe in this stuff or really are interested in it, you're kind of looked at as cuckoo. I'm sure you guys know much more on that
Yeah.
level,
Yeah.
right? That like if you even mention the word UFO, you're a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat. But at this point, it's kind of undeniable, right? You've got military and Congress looking into this stuff. I thought this was really interesting, and
Yeah,
thank you, Chris, for pointing this out.
Yeah, it's
Hey, no
definitely
problem, man. It's
it's
definitely interesting.
interesting, and the fact that, like I said, you brought it up, like the time we live in now, like like I said, Chris, I know being older, 20 years ago, like you said, it's definitely more acceptable now to talk about this stuff, and it's more widely acceptable for most people as a possibility than
Mhm.
even like 20 years ago, UFOs would be up there with like some of the more like
Flat
famous,
Earth.
right, yeah, that or like it was thrown in with like Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster,
Yeah.
all this stuff that like the myth and the mythology and the folk tales and stuff where no one could prove, but there was as time's gone by, there's been more and more stuff about it, and now that the government's finally coming out and like telling us basically, yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely stuff out there, which they denied it for decades.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's cool that they're now actually being somewhat transparent, and I understand that they don't want to talk about all of it, because I understand now that a lot of it does have to do with national security, and if you watch the Lou Elizondo stuff, it makes sense that they're not going to come out and say they're not going to come out and say, yeah, we don't know what they are, but when you say that they're flying freely over our airspace and we can't stop them, you don't want to
Right.
tell your enemies that, if it is,
Right.
because we wouldn't be able to sleep at night,
Yeah.
I also remember from my age the days of the Cold War, and being worried about nuclear war. We were always worried like it all takes is push the buttons and we're all wiped out. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that was the fear. So they don't want to have that kind of fear stuff going on. But it is nice to see the transparency and the government kind of open up and trying to think, at least try to take these things a little bit more seriously.
No, I completely agree. Chris, any last thoughts?
Yeah, it's just Extizo was saying, who they're being transparent to a point. Who knows what they really know? I just think it's important that people keep digging, looking for the truth.
Yeah.
Always both sides of the story type of thing, but don't be scared to go where you need to go to kind of find the truth, see what they really know.
Right. Well, listen, everyone, if you enjoyed the video today, please, if you're new here, like, subscribe. We tend to like to go live on Thursdays. we're kind of slow down a little bit on the lives for this month, but you know, we're gonna have a bunch of videos out for you guys. I hope you enjoyed everything, and we will see you next time. Appreciate it.
Later.
Later.